Okay, I'm recording.
Okay, perfect. All right, well, welcome everybody. Thanks so much for joining Career Engagement and Industry Relations for our first Take 20. It is our first virtual Take 20, and we're really excited to have everybody here. We're very blessed to have Tori be able to talk to us for the next 20 minutes about tips and tricks for learning in the virtual world. She is the director of our Academic Resource Center, and she has years of experience as a student learner and as a professor with using Zoom and other online tools for being successful in the virtual world. So I'm going to hand it over to Tori now and let her take it away.
All right. Hello, everyone. I'm Tori. As Alicia said, I am the director of our Academic Resource Center, and I have taught online for the past 4 years. And when I was a student, I also took online classes a few semesters. So I'm going to draw from those experiences to offer you some tips and tricks today. But to start, I have a poll that I'm going to launch with two questions, and I would appreciate your feedback so that I can see kind of how things have been going so far this week with your online learning, and then what topics you may want me to focus on. So I have launched the poll and it should have popped up for you. And I made it anonymous so you can rest easy knowing that I won't know who said what. This is one feature that you may have professors use if you have live Zoom sessions.
I have a question. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Austin isn't a student yet, so
Okay. So prospective student or going to be in,
yes.
okay. So
He's starting
no
to
online learning experience yet.
Right.
Okay. Well, I guess skip the first question and answer the second one if there's specific topics that would be most helpful for me to focus on. Feel free to select any of those that would apply. All right, so it seems like the most, let's see, the top choice right now is online remote communication and participation, followed by general tips and best practices, and then time management. So those are the three that have gotten responses. I will give a few more seconds and then I'll end. It looks like so far we've had a good and very good first week, so that's amazing. All right. Okay, I'm going to end our polling if you guys want to see the results. Good and very good, as I said, and then I will focus to start on this online remote communication and participation, since that's the top choice at this point. So generally speaking, since you're not going to be seeing someone face to face, you're going to have to communicate differently than you're probably used to. And that's okay. We have a lot of tools, so you're able to email as you normally would. You can request Zoom meetings, so you can email your professor or another person on campus and let them know that you need help with something or you have questions, and they can set up an appointment with you as you normally would, but you'll just meet on Zoom instead of in their office. Another option in Blackboard is that you can send messages. So if you'd want to send a message to your professor, you could send a message through there. In terms of participation, it's going to depend on your class. So if you don't have discussion boards, participation is likely going to be logging into Blackboard and doing assignments, logging in for live sessions if you have live class sessions. We're able as a professor to log into Blackboard and see when students have accessed the site and how much time they've spent, and so that may be how they gauge your participation, and they keep track of whether you're in the space as much as you should be and you're on track with your learning. Another thing I'll say is Over communication is going to be better than not communicating. So as a professor, when I've had students email me to say they've had something happen in their life that prevented them from submitting an assignment, or they were really confused about a paper, or they went to submit it and they had a technical issue, whatever it might be, knowing that then gives me the freedom to work with them to adjust timelines or due dates, to help with technical questions or issues with Blackboard. So explaining those things is going to be important, because if you don't, your professor won't know that you need help. That's also kind of one of the general tips and best practices, is going to be staying connected virtually and communicating. So staying connected virtually could mean, you know, doing all the things I've already said. It could also mean connecting with your classmates. So you may feel a little bit isolated now that you're having to stay home and not seeing your friends or your classmates every day in person. And so something important would be to connect with them virtually. And for you, that might mean texting them, it might mean FaceTime, it might mean setting up a Google Hangout. You could also figure out a virtual study group. So maybe you use your access to Zoom to have a weekly check-in with your classmates for study time. Those are all ideas for ways you can stay connected and still feel connected to campus and to your classmates and to each other, but physically be separated from each other. Staying mentally engaged is going to be another best practice and tip. And so that's going to mean taking notes the same way you would take notes in class, continuing the same practices. If it helps you to have a recording of what's being said, ask for permission to record the live Zoom session, or ask the professor to just record all of their Zoom lectures so that you can listen back to them and review them later. If it's a student who has note-taking accommodations, they're able to use their accommodation to record the lecture even over Zoom, which is a really cool thing. And if you get permission to do that, you might also be able to just record with your phone if all you want is the audio to re-listen to. There's a lot of different ways you can do that. You should also ask questions. So if you're live on Zoom like this, there's going to be a chat feature option where you can ask questions in the chat. There's little reactions where you could, you know, give a thumbs up or clap. And even in the chat, there's a way to kind of raise your hand to let your professor know that you have a question. So same way you'd participate in class, you can do through Zoom. Other things that are going to be important since you're in a new environment is to have a dedicated workspace. So figure out a place in your home or wherever you're at right now that is going to work for you to consistently study and do your work. This could mean your bedroom, it could mean your dining room table, your kitchen, wherever a space is that you can set up a computer, have your study materials, and have as much as you can a distraction-free or distraction-reduced environment. It may also be helpful to let your family or your roommates know that certain times of the day are going to be work times, and to help stay distraction-free, to let them know either to work somewhere else or that those times are reserved for your class. Structuring your time is another important tip. So I think a lot of what I've been hearing is people feeling overwhelmed by all the time they have, all the changes that are going on. And so it's important to set a new routine for yourself. That can mean actually scheduling your day. So you say certain blocks of time are reserved for studying or reading or lecture, because you may still have to join live for lecture. So planning out your days and sticking to your schedule can help you to feel like you're in a good routine. I see we have a couple of people in the chat. Let's see. Motivated to clean my spare bedroom, and it's now my office space. And that's awesome. So you have both a dedicated office space and you use your free time in a positive way, which is something else that I'll talk about too. But in terms of structuring your time, plan on maximum of about 2 to 3 hours at a time for different things. If you work too long, you're going to start feeling stressed and worn out and burnout, and you're going to be less productive and less successful. So try to schedule in breaks too. That might mean going for a walk or watching a movie or TV or talking to friends, whatever it might be, checking social media, something to give yourself a break before then you check back into your time for classwork or other things. Another thing Joey Lynch shared is that she has reminders on her phone for when she has to do certain things, and that's another great tip. There's a lot of technological tools out there that can help you with managing your time. There's a lot of free apps actually that you can use to make to-do lists to help you stay focused. You can set timers through the apps so to kind of schedule your focus time, and it'll let you know when it's time to stop and take a break. There's also ones that are helpful for time management, which I know is another thing that people wanted help with. And so for time management, I'd actually direct you to check out our CUAA blog, because I wrote a post over the weekend with some tips for time management. And there's a short video you can watch too. It's only about 1.5 minutes. That's kind of a summary. And in that blog post are a list of a bunch of those different apps that I was talking about and the different things that they can help you with. The overarching focus is time management, but several of them also will help you with kind of focusing in on your tasks and staying on track too. So checking time, looks like we have just a few more minutes. So does anyone have kind of a burning question or something they'd like me to focus in on, either through the chat or anything else that I can touch on? Yeah, Linda.
Hi, everybody. So thank you so much for sharing all these tips, Tori. I think this is a wonderful discussion, not just as a resource for our students and faculty, but I'm also wondering if it would be okay if I could share the recording of this with our alumni in the next alumni newsletter scheduled to go out next week.
Sure, that would be fine with me. We're going to make the link to the recording available after the event, so feel free to share.
All right, cool. Maybe offline then, Alicia, we can work on, this will be the SEER box for April. This is wonderful content. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for joining. Okay, any other questions? I don't see. Okay, so one other thing I just wanted to say too is I've heard in terms of the overwhelming feelings, I've heard from several students who feel with just everything going on right now in the world, very overwhelmed with that and then trying to manage learning in this new environment. So a couple of things that I've been sharing with them are, and I guess my background is social work, so this comes from me being a social worker in that background, but thinking about things that we can control and things that we cannot control, and focusing on what we can control and giving our energy to those to help alleviate some of those feelings of being overwhelmed all the time. So focusing on your attitude, your actions, so maybe the news is stressing you out or making you feel worse, so you limit how much time you spend watching it. Maybe the same thing should go for social media, because maybe a lot of your friends are sharing posts about what's going on or news articles, and that's stressing you out too. So maybe restricting your time there. Your own social distancing, you can control that, kind of how you approach your day-to-day life. So setting that schedule, doing what's healthy for you and what makes you happy, thinking about all the things that you actually have control over every day and focusing in on those. Another thing is thinking about your mindset and how maybe you can shift your mindset in different ways, especially now with what was going on in the world. So things like I'm stuck at home. So kind of that negative focus on I'm stuck at home. Instead thinking how you get to be safe in your home, and maybe you get to be safe in your home with family or people that you wouldn't normally get to see as much as you are right now. I will get sick. So another mindset that people are probably really afraid of and think a lot. instead kind of thinking about what you can control and all the things you're doing to help yourself not get sick. So you're isolating, you're washing your hands, you're using hand sanitizer, and all those things you're doing are going to help decrease your chances. And so I have a couple of kind of infographics that I can post and share too that kind of summarize these things, but I think that they're just helpful to remember that it's a scary time. It's normal to feel upset or afraid or overwhelmed, and that's okay. It's okay to not be okay, but there are things we can do where we're at every day to help ourselves to start to feel better. So I guess that's all I really had prepared for today. If there's no more questions, please know that, oh, infographics. Yeah, let me see if I can share them through the chat. And I should be able to. Yeah, I've emailed these to a couple of students and I think they've been helpful. So there's one. That reframing one is that kind of changing your mindset. And then this one, what you can control and what you cannot control. So they're just kind of little images that summarize things, helpful things I've found on listservs that people have been sharing. Any other questions or anything I can touch on in our last couple minutes together? I don't see anyone raising hands or anything. Okay.
Actually, maybe talk about some, I know we have 3 more minutes here,
Yeah.
so briefly, maybe some other tools besides Zoom that you used online when you were either a student learner or a professor.
Yeah, so actually one thing I've recommended this week to a couple students is they've shared that they've had trouble staying focused while they're reading, that they get distracted or they can't finish what they need to do, they don't remember anything. And so I've suggested if they have materials on their computer in a document or in Blackboard, to have them read to them. So there's software that you can use that's free that will read something in your browser, a PDF, a Word document. If you have an electronic, like an ebook, they will read them to you. So one is called Natural Reader. It's free to download for anyone. And then the other would be, as students, everyone should have access to Office 365. And so that has built-in text-to-speech accessibility features that would read like what you're writing in a paper or something else to you out loud. If you have a Mac, there's really cool built-in features just on the computer under accessibility. They now have a pretty robust text-to-speech option there. And so that can be really helpful to just hear things instead. You can even do other things while it's being read and just listen to it. I've had students, you know, basically have it on their phone in their pocket with headphones on and listening as they're doing other things, but kind of figuring out what works best for you. So that's one really cool thing that I recommend to everybody, is that if you're having trouble staying focused, especially if you have a lot of reading, that might be one way to break it up and to have it given to you in a different format. Otherwise, yeah, in Zoom, there's a lot of different really cool tools that you could access through class if your professor turns them on. So if you find out about them, you may want to request that because they should have access to do that. Blackboard has built-in resources too that you can check out. So there's ways to message people through there. There's ways you can chat with people. And honestly, one of the things I did as a student is I used a lot of apps and written to-do lists to manage my time. So I always recommend a written to-do list. For me, writing it out helps me to actually remember it too. So it's the process of thinking about it and then writing it, and that repetition helps. But I would organize things by the length of time they would take me to do, and then by due date. So that was just my method of keeping on track when I was in grad school, is I would stick it to the front of my notebook or my binder or whatever it is that I had in front of me all the time. And I would make one for each week, and I would list the things that I had to do with the deadlines, and then kind of ranking them by the time they would take so I would know what to prioritize. So that's another kind of tip and tool too. All right. Anything else in our last seconds together?
Well, thank you so much, Tori. Your presentation was super helpful, and I really liked the infographics that you shared with us. I was reading some of those over, and I think in the times that we're living in right now, it can be very uncertain, and so being able to actually see something where we're able to choose, this is what I have control over, and to be able to focus on those things can be very useful. And then all the technology tips that you just provided for us and all of the Zoom tips, I hope that students are really able to use these and are going to refer back to this video for times to come, even when we're past just meeting through the technology. So thank you again, and thank you everybody for joining us.
Yes, thank you everyone. All right.
Bye.
Bye.